Hi, my name's Antonia Carlotta, and welcome to the Universal family. I'm the great-grandniece of Carl Laemmle, founder of Universal Studios, and star of the web series Universally Me, all about the history of Universal and my family. The history of Universal and its founder is really quite interesting. Carl Laemmle won a Supreme Court case against Thomas Edison. He started one of the biggest movie studios in the world, and he saved hundreds of lives during World War II, but there's still a good chance that until today, you hadn't heard of him. Carl Laemmle was born January 17, 1867 in Laemmle, Germany. He immigrated to the United States at 17 years old, but he didn't get into the film business until he was almost 40. Before that, he lived in New York, Chicago, Wisconsin, South Dakota, and he worked many odd jobs, including farming, at a drugstore, as a newspaper delivery boy. In Oshkosh, Wisconsin, he settled down and worked at a clothing store for many years. It was there that he got married and had two kids, Rosabelle and Julius, who became known as Carl Jr., and who, at age 21, would go on to take control of Universal. At 39, Carl realized that he wanted to do more for himself and his family, so he left the clothing store in Oshkosh in search of his next big venture. And it was then that he saw his first Nickelodeon. He saw the line of people waiting and kind of did the math, and he realized he really wanted to go into movies. So he took his life savings and he opened up a theater, and it did so well that he decided to open up the Laemmle Film Service, where he distributed films to theaters. And then a few years later, he started actually making the movies, which is ultimately how he went on to start Universal. When Universal first opened in 1912, it was in Fort Lee, New Jersey. At the time, Thomas Edison, the inventor, was charging movie makers to make and distribute films, and it was really keeping the industry down. Carl Laemmle decided to fight Edison in the courts, and he would eventually go on to win in the Supreme Court case Motion Picture Patents Company v. Universal. But in the meantime, Carl and a few other filmmakers decided to move west to California just to get as far away from Edison as they could. In 1915, Carl opened up Universal City, California, and he decided it would really be a city. It had everything that you needed to live and work, including school, bank, post office, fire department, police department, even a zoo. And every building front could also be used for filming. About 500 people lived on the Universal lot in California when it first opened, including Carl Laemmle's niece, my great-aunt Carla. She moved there when she was just a child and described her life on the lot as a fairy tale. Here she is in an interview I did with her in 2013 when she was 104 years old.
We moved right into Universal Studio. They had a house there. In fact, two houses. It was pretty fantastic. We had the wonderful mountains behind Universal, and we had the animals in the back part of the property. And I would wake up sometimes in the morning by hearing the lions roar, and I just loved living there.
Carla acted and danced in many movies for Universal, including Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, and King of Jazz. Carl Laemmle had a huge impact on the industry in ways that were unheard of back then. He invented the movie studio tour, giving people a behind-the-scenes look of the movie-making process, started movie stars by getting people excited about the actors and actresses in his films, and he was always creating new publicity stunts to promote his movies. In one example, he started a rumor that his lead actress, Florence Lawrence, had died, and then almost caused a riot when he said, no, she's still alive, and she's gonna make a live appearance to prove it and to promote her movie. In another example, for Frankenstein, he stationed nurses and ambulances outside theaters that were playing the movie and said that they were necessary because it was so scary, people were passing out from fear. Another thing that Carl Laemmle was known for was his nepotism. He was always hiring friends and family around the lot, and everybody called him Uncle Carl, even if they weren't related to him. The poet Ogden Nash once wrote, "Uncle Carl Laemmle has a very large family." But there's more to the story than that, and it wasn't just sheer nepotism. During the 1930s, when Hitler was rising to power in Germany, Carl could see the danger the Jewish people were in. He made it his personal mission to save as many as he could. He signed affidavits pledging support, jobs, and homes to all of them, and many of them he set up with jobs at Universal. When the Secretary of State told him that he had sponsored too many refugees and wouldn't allow him to bring any more, he wrote to every friend and relative trying to convince them to help in the cause. Carl Laemmle passed away September 24, 1939, at his home in Beverly Hills, California, and now rests at the Home of Peace Cemetery in Los Angeles. For someone to have done any one of the things that Carl did would have been great, but Carl managed it all. He created one of the greatest movie studios in the world, he won a Supreme Court case against Thomas Edison, and he saved hundreds of lives. He left a remarkable legacy, and now you get to be a part of it. So on behalf of Uncle Carl and me, thank you.